Mommy, what is a cow plop?
Hopefully we'll find out on this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Systems Online. Reflux capacitor fluxing. Scanning room space-time for Big Business, 1988. Rewinding in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the master interrupter, PaulJPowers.com. Is he a twin? Is he not, Powers?
Let's get down to business to defeat the twins.
Very good, Paul. Also, for this discussion of the film Big Business, we welcome back aboard Administration Officer of the pod, Ashley Ruiz. Hey, Ashley.
Hi. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. Always a pleasure. In addition, we are glad to have back aboard Ship's Engineer, Drake Tungsten. Hey, Drake.
Hello.
Hello, hello. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we all are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Big Business?
Absolutely. Big Business was released April 20th, 1929, and is unrated. It runs 19 minutes, is directed by James Horn and Leo McCarey. It was written by H.M. Walker, Stan Laurel, and Leo McCarey. Lead star being... What? Don't tell me this is not the Laurel and Hardy movie.
No, unfortunately it's not.
Midler and Tomlin.
Okay, fine. Gotta go back.
Yep.
All right, hold on.
Find another business that's big.
All right.
Big.
All right. The Little Rascal version, right?
No.
Big Business.
No.
Oh!
That could have been brought
You
to
know
my
what?
attention yesterday.
I
one?
have hope you're going to go the Tom Hanks version next.
Is that the one we're covering?
No,
There's a
it's
Tom
not.
Hanks version? Oh, well, which one? I'm tired of movie time hopping.
1988 Bette Midler, Lily Tomlin version.
Oh. All right. Big Business was released April 20th. Sorry, not 1929. Wrong button. Let me go back. Okay. Big Business was released June 10th, 1988. Runs an hour and 37 minutes and is rated PG. It was directed by Jim Abraham. Sorry, JJ. It was written by Dory Pearson, Mark Reed Rubel, and with lead stars being Bette Midler, Lily Tomlin, and Francisco's pal, Burt Ward, who's also known as Fred Ward.
How dare you?
Still
Check out our review of Tremors for more of that. The music was composed by Lee Holdridge. And are you ready for the box office trivia?
I'm ready. Ashley and Drake, are you guys ready?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. And everyone live here in chat, Ken, Bobo, anyone else in Ken's stream, you're welcome to guess as well. Go for it, Paul.
Love the enthusiasm. All right. Big Business was made for about $20 million in the 80s, and it earned around $40 million at the box office. So given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1988? We'll go for the top 50.
I laugh because Bobo's going back to his old standby, which we'll get to in a second. But Drake, what is your prediction? Or not prediction.
25.
25, okay. Ashley, where did you think Big Business fell in the top movies?
I'm feeling compassionate. 38.
38, all right. Wait, how's that? Okay.
It's how old I be.
Okay.
I mean, this movie is approaching that too, because this.
You're not 38 yet.
I will be.
All right, I suppose so.
I
By
will
the
be.
time this episode drops.
It sure feels like it.
Bobo and Ken both guess 42.
No, Ken changed his
Ken
mind.
changed to
Bobo
35. Oh yeah,
first.
you're 35.
Snipe
I
him.
forget this, Ken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm gonna guess 49.
You are so not giving this movie any love right now. Oh my!
Oh, you're guessing my age.
I'm trying to give us a range, guys. Gosh.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Number one. $1?
No. Where did this actually end up?
You want range? All right. According to the-numbers.com, this came in at 30.
Oh, 30. Okay.
I knew it.
So I guess that means Ken wins, just edging out Ashley for.
Yep,
oh wait,
changed.
I don't know. I feel like Ken and Drake are about equidistant
Right.
between 35
so you both
and 25.
split the prize.
Yes,
Nothing.
exactly.
Yeah.
You get.
You're both
nothing.
winners.
You
Yeah.
lose.
Winners
I
of
like half.
nothing.
I'll take that half.
All right. Well, thank you so much for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind melt or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert. Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Touchstone Pictures presents the story of two sets of twin sisters accidentally mixed up at birth. One set was raised down south, the other up north, and neither set knew the other existed until one day at New York's Plaza Hotel they met. It's Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin. Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler.
You're so wispy, wispy, wispy.
You suppose it's hormonal? It's Big Business.
There's two of everybody in there.
Now playing at famous players and other theaters. Check newspapers for showtimes.
That trailer, that TV spot might have, brought back some memories for you listening. Not so much for me, because this is actually my first time watching this film. But let's collect any memories that the people that watched this may have had into our memory mind melt synopsis for Big Business. Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin. And Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin are two sets of identical twins, mixed up and separated at birth. One stays in a small farming town. The other grows up in New York City. New York City. Big city girl visits the small town and twin chases after her to the big city where some city corporate interest is going against the country family. They want to demolish the town to put in a factory or a railway, and they have to put a stop to it. And they had to put a stop to it. I mean, I guess that's generally kind of right, but I feel like there's
not a factory, not a railway.
That's true. They're just strip mining the thing. So yeah, totally decepted set of memories. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this movie before your rewatch? A classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Drake, let's start with you. And I believe you may have been the only one to have seen this for the first, who have seen this before. Is that right?
I saw it before, yes.
Okay, cool. And what was your prediction for this film?
My prediction was nostalgic.
Nostalgic. Ashley, how about you?
Well, I had never seen this before, and just given all that I was able to find on it after you shared it with me, I said, that looks like a tragedy, so I rated it tragic, just based off of the preliminaries.
Paul, I believe you, like Ashley and myself, did not see this, so is that accurate?
Thought I did too, but then when I went to watch it, my wife reminded me that we would actually watched it together 5 years ago. That
it left an impact.
Was like, oh, that movie. I have more memories of seeing this on the VHS shelves on the video rental store and going, wow, I don't want to see that. I have more memories of that than of me actually watching this 5 years ago.
So classic prediction then, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, sorry, it did not leave a lasting impression with me, so I predicted tragic.
And having never seen it, I think I watched the TV spot. I'm like, I mean, maybe this will have way better jokes. Maybe they did a good job of keeping the good jokes for the movie and not spoiling them in the trailer. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it's going to be good. It has some level of star power to it. One of the guys that directed Airplane directed this. So maybe it's going to be cool. So I predicted nostalgic. I wasn't really
It has potential.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
that glimmer of hope.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true, though. But first, let's get into what we liked most about big business. So, Alice, spin a bar.
Best bits.
All right. And let's begin with Ashley. What is one thing you liked about this film?
Oh, the things I like about this film.
I know there's so many, probably.
I know, they're just overly abundant. So one thing that I really liked was I really enjoyed all the different sets that they had for this movie. The fact that they had to recreate the plaza on a soundstage because the makers of the film initially approached the hotel saying, hey, could we film here? They were denied, sadly, but it just looked so good. And
it did. I thought it was the real thing.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job of creating that. And I felt like all the sets just felt incredibly believable to show the two different places where each set of twins lived between Jupiter Hollow, West Virginia, and New York City. I just felt like they did a good job of making you the believability of where you were in every scene in the film.
You know, that was one of my likes as well, inexplicably.
The one you just stole? I'm sorry, what?
But I had no idea, and I read when I was reading through trivia for the trivial question coming up later. I read about how they had to recreate the plaza, and I had no idea. I mean, I've never been to the plaza. If you show me a building in New York and said that was the plaza, I wouldn't know it. Unless it was the Empire State Building, I'd probably be like, sure, okay, that's the plaza, okay. But I thought it looked...
Huntington Square Garden.
Madison Square Gardens?
Madison Square Garden, even better. Would have been a better joke.
Yes, but I appreciate the sets, and also like Juniper Hollow felt very like what I would imagine West Virginia rural looks like. So that was nice.
Virginia.
Well, yeah, South Virginia, exactly. That's an inside joke.
I think it was actually Kentucky.
Well, I mean, according to the
Kentucky was one of the places they filmed.
IMDb, they may have filmed in Kentucky, but according to IMDb, it was supposed to be West Virginia.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be West Virginia. I don't know where it was actually filmed.
Gotcha.
Well,
could have been Kentucky.
Right. In the movie was set in West Virginia, and it looked like it. And like Kentucky is like next to West Virginia, so it wouldn't look that different.
Yeah, they share a border, so it wouldn't be that.
So you know what? Kentucky is like West Virginia. Drake, what is it like from this movie for you?
What is it like from the you want my best like or
no not your best?
Down 3,
don't
2,
give
1.
us your classic maker right now.
All right.
I'll go for it.
And this is weird because it's not anything that was particular in the movie, but I liked all this stuff because it's like now it's like period, but it's just stuff that was normal back then. So just stuff out of the 80s.
So it's like transporting back in time to the 80s.
Yeah, like a car phone.
Yeah, and the shoulder pads. And,
yeah, the shoulder pads and things like because I was like, I remember this. I remember that car phones like that and things like that. They're like Macs, you know, the old Macs from like the 80s.
Wait.
You know, stuff like that.
The Macs from no, I don't remember. What is that?
Macintosh, the computer.
The Macintoshes.
Oh, I didn't actually see any computers. Were people using computers
in the office? Yes.
Yeah, in the office.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yeah,
they were in the office, and there was one in the hotel. There was one at the hotel that was actually showed like a screen.
Yeah,
I think it had something. I think it was like an overlay, so it wasn't like a real screen. But
okay.
It looked real to me. I was impressed.
I didn't.
But then I should have known it didn't have those lines going through like when you normally record a
well if you time your film capture to it you don't get that.
You can.
Well, they didn't know about that in the 80s.
I'm sure they did, Paul.
Maybe they did.
Well, that's why
probably
Tron
worked
looked
better
that
in the
way.
80s because they used film and not video.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the sort of all setting and aesthetic of the 80s, totally get that. Paul, what was aesthetically pleasing or otherwise something you liked about this film?
I'll go because you guys already talked about it. One of my likes was the settings, and it was totally believable to me the production quality of that was the big hotel because I thought surely if they recreated it, it would have made it smaller, or at least feel smaller. But it felt like the hotel was huge, and I love the outdoors, all the small towns. So I agree. Like the settings were. I wish today, for some reason, looking back, that feels more real, quote unquote, real. The settings than some of the movies that we watch today. To me,
do you think it's just because they had to make the set? They couldn't just fill in with green screen, that type of like post CG stuff, or what do you think?
Because they had the technology that they use. They had that green screen or blue screen technology that they used for the twins sometimes. So
yeah, but it was minimal. It was minimal, and they only used it when they had to, as opposed to most modern day productions being like, we'll fix it in post.
Exactly.
Which is actually my other they didn't rely too much on the blue green screen when they had the twins together. So I really appreciated that because I was expecting a lot of blue screen, especially for two sets of twins. So
they did a lot of, I think, really good takes of where, I don't know, you can usually in movies of this day, you can see where they would put the split. There's like a wall or some
mannequin or something.
Yeah. But they did it well and to good effect. And toward the end when you did have them together, it wasn't. There's something about the edge color that you can tell that it's post production, but it was it was slight. It wasn't obvious. So that definitely good on them with there. So good job, ILM. All right. Let's go with Ashley again. What's something else you liked?
Okay. So another thing that I liked was I really like how distinct Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin played each of their characters that they were portraying. Yes. I thought it was really interesting to see just especially the differentiation between the two Bette Midler characters, both named Sadie. Yeah. How one was very power hungry and driven as like this leader of a big company, and the other one is in this small town feeling like they don't belong, like somehow they're meant for bigger things. And one was just incredibly manipulative with the Italian business partner, and it was not fun. But it was interesting to see that range, and just to see the range of Lily Tomlin playing one Rose that was very shy, loved animals, was kind of coy, and then the other one was like, take charge, save Jupiter Hollow. So it was really interesting to see how each set of twins and the different personalities that the same actresses were playing. So that was fun for me.
You know what? That was made one of my likes as well. I thought it was interesting. At first, I thought it seemed almost like each twin, like the two Bette Midlers were going to be alike, and the two Lily Tomlins were going to be like. And they are in so much as they enjoy sort of the same setting. You could tell both Lily Tomlins would prefer to be in like a rural place. Both Bette Midlers would prefer to be in the big city. But yeah, it certainly seemed like the Sadie, not Ratcliffe was the Ratliff was from the Virginians. The Yorkers were, what was their last name? Do you guys remember? Sadie Hawkins or something like that?
Hawkins.
Was it Hawkins?
No, that's a Southern thing, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
Sadie Hawkins dance.
Yeah, nobody ever asked me. I don't know.
Well, I'll look it up here in a second because I am curious and I'd like to be able to just say. Shelton. It was Shelton.
It started with an S.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Sadie Hawkins, exactly.
Close enough.
So the Sadie Shelton, Bette Midler from New York, it was actually interesting to me how she was very much like the Lily Tomlin from West Virginia, both very headstrong, like you were saying, Ashley. I'm going to go fight this company. I'm going to go and just take this land. So that was interesting seeing how they played sort of opposite versions of themselves. And I thought that worked really well because one of them, I think, was seemingly the oldest of the two twins in each dynamic. So that was cool. Let's go to
the oldest of the identical twins.
Exactly. Let's go to Drake for one more like before we get to our class makers.
What else did I like? Can I just reuse the settings?
You like the settings too? That's amazing.
I did.
Wow.
I did.
Anything more about that?
I hear they rebuilt the hotel.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
to that.
Well,
It looked real. I've been to New York.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not, but I
remember looking at that and thinking it was I remember distinctly thinking like that's a real hotel when I was there. Like they have hotels like this, you know?
Yeah, where there's two sets of everyone in there.
Yes,
apparently
everyone.
That was this. Well,
Sometimes
it may be on someone's dislike list. I was going to ask about the very end of the movie where you see the guy come out of the business versus the homeless guy. He sees himself.
And I thought the boyfriend or the ex-husband of the Sadie of New York was the twin of the homeless guy in the front.
They definitely have a similar aesthetic.
I could see that.
I could see that too. They definitely had similar aesthetics.
Funny.
They both had beards. They had very similar coloring.
Yeah.
But let's get into our what was the most colorful thing about this movie for us, our classic makers. I'm going to start with Paul. What was your classic maker?
Ashley took mine, and that was the how the actresses differentiated their twin characters. I'll hit on something else, but the use of the accents. Relying heavily on those really helped understand which character was which. And I thought both actresses did a good job of playing completely different people.
Yeah. I only got kind of confused. I think, remember one time in the movie where I was confused, like, which one am I looking at? Otherwise, they did a good job of distinguishing them. So, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Ashley, did Paul steal one of for your classic maker? No? Okay. Well, what was yours?
He did not. So my classic maker was actually the supporting cast. I really enjoyed how all of the different actors supported the different personifications of Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin. And you believe that they believed it's who they were thinking they were. Just because even though they were like acting different, they were like, they were selling their role so well that they believed it was the other character. And you believed their performance. I just really enjoyed all the different people, especially seeing like past favorites show up. I love seeing Edward Herrmann because I remember him from the Gilmore Girls when that was on the air as the grandfather. So it's always fun to go back to these 80s movies and see him. Yeah. So he was fun. It was fun seeing Fred Ward again.
And Michael Gross.
And Michael Gross,
Yeah, Michael J. Fox's dad. I didn't realize this was a Tremors prequel.
That's what I was saying when I was watching the movie Francisco, and I watched it separately, and I'm like, hey, Francisco, there's two guys from Tremors in here.
I'm like, what? Really?
And he was like, what? He did say what, really? And I really enjoyed all the supporting actors. What was really fun for me as a kid who grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch is the receptionist. She played a supporting character who taught math on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So every time I see her in movies, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome because I love the actress. And I just really enjoyed how the cast interacted with Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin as they portrayed different characters, and just how easily they thought who they were seeing was the person they thought it was. So that was really fun for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's go to Drake. What was your classic maker for?
My classic maker was the music.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
What? The yodeling music?
I do like yodeling, but that wasn't this. I mean, I like
I like the music too.
Yeah. I really like the Benny Goodman at the beginning. I like Benny Goodman a lot. So.
Sure.
So there's that. I like steel drums. Steel drum bit.
Sorry, what was that?
Sing, sing, sing.
Yeah.
Sing, sing, sing.
Yeah. The swing music.
Yes. Benny Goodman.
Yeah.
The clarinet guy.
Are you sure it's not Glenn Miller?
I was about to say, Henny Goodman, isn't he the one-line comic?
No.
Are you sure it's not Big Bad Voodoo Daddy?
Next, you're going to say it's the Brian Setzer Orchestra. You can stop.
Please continue, Drake.
Yes, it's not that guy. Also good, though. Yeah, it was good. What was I going to say? Steel drums. There was a steel drum bit in there. I like steel drums a lot. Steel drum music.
Okay. That makes sense.
Some of the music was just, music from the 80s, so I liked it because I like 80s music. It wasn't anything. It didn't have like a cohesive theme other than, the music was supposed to pick out different bits of the movie.
Yeah.
So they were all different styles and things like that. I have eclectic taste, so I guess there's that. But
it's like a mixtape.
Yeah. It was so that was, I think, the best part of the movie for me.
Okay. Very cool.
Was that.
Yeah, that's I love that we all have very different classic makers, and mine as well is quite different. Actually, let me ask Ashley or Paul, did the music stand out to either of you? Say yes, Paul.
Sorry, that did.
Okay.
I would say it was distinct. I wish they had used Bette Midler in a better way outside of yodeling, because she does have a very good voice. So it was cool that they incorporated her singing in some way, and yodeling is truly a skill that very few people have mastered. Sadly, I don't care for it.
Yeah. It's not come on. that I'm like, oh yeah, yodeling. But much like all of us, I have a completely different classic maker. And that's the one laugh this movie got from me was the whole
one laugh.
Yep.
Wow. I thought it was funny throughout.
What's a cow plop, mommy? I thought that
made you laugh.
That made me laugh. So good on that kid.
Good on that laugh. That didn't make me laugh.
That's a line that I've found myself repeating a lot, and had forgotten where it was from.
It seems like one of those lines that you would quote for some reason. Yes.
That's probably the most quotable line in the film.
Yes, agreed. But some things aren't too quotable. You might even say we dislike them. So it's time to get, oh, dang it. You'd think after 300 episodes, I get this in my skull, but I have one more thing I like, guys, that I do want to share with you, and that would be the Cellcast. The Cellcast, hosted by Jacob and Drew, review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it is traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to the Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget that Cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com.
That's great, Francisco. So it's spelled with cell is spelled with a C.
Yes.
So cast must be spelled with a K.
No.
Or Q?
No.
Well, why call out cell and not cast?
Because often people hear cell and they think it's SELL.
Well, not if you're an animation buff. But anyway, what does that have to do with big business?
Well, see, you sell high and you buy low, and that's how you make big business.
But cell is CEL, not SLELL.
Well, I wish someone would have spelled it for me when I was looking up the cellcast.podbean.com. Okay, wow. There's nothing, not one iota. There's nothing animated in this movie having anything to do with the Cellcast except, Ashley.
Can I guess?
Oh, please. Yes.
Okay. So the name is the Cell.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to go with a homonym. It sounds the same, but it has a different meaning. So we're, instead of saying like the CEL and talk about the Cellcast, is nothing could sell you on this movie? Does that work as we go into the next section?
Yes.
No, I think there's a lot to sell me on this movie. We just went over a bunch.
I know, but who knows? There might be more in this next section if
more
we
things
weren't
to make
limited.
Us buy.
If we weren't limited to just 2 dislikes and a tragic maker.
Tipping your hand there a little bit, Ashley, but
or is she?
Or is she?
Maybe
yeah. I don't know. Yes, it could be a switcheroo.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, so Paul, I'm sorry, I don't have any. My like isn't really connected with big business, but how about some big trivia from this movie? Would you like that?
Sure.
All right.
Let me guess. The hotel wasn't real.
No, that's not my trivia.
Oh, darn. Okay.
Did you all realize the original plan was to use body doubles for Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin for where you see them on screen together, wearing look-alike prosthetics, but the result proved to be a complete bomb, quote unquote, according to director Jim Abrahams.
J.J. Abrams.
Yes, that one.
Wrong one.
That the idea was swiftly nixed. Instead, the twin effects were achieved by Industrial Light and Magic after 5 months of post-production.
Wow.
My question to you guys is, what movie do you think achieves a twin effect most effortlessly? That is, having two actors on screen in the same scene, but playing different roles.
You mean the same actor?
What did I say?
You said two actors in the same scene.
I'm sorry. What? The same actor in two roles in the same scene. Yes.
All right.
In the same shot.
Yeah, in the same shot. Yeah, I guess that.
Well, I was about to say, otherwise you get like Eddie Murphy and there's 5 of them around the same table.
Right.
All right. Let's start with Drake.
Actually, I thought this one did it pretty well.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Yeah.
This one seems, because there's some other ones that do it and they do a good effect of it, but it's like, it's kind of more in your face than they did here. So.
Okay. All right, Ashley, well, how about you?
The one where it all began for me, 1961's The Parent Trap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And honestly, they didn't need industrial lights and magic. They used practical effects. They did the best they could. They used body doubles, and they did it right.
But not Haley Joel Osment. Dang it.
Haley Mills.
Haley Mills, thank you. Haley Mills is a twin. There's two Haley Mills.
I saw the trailer. It says Haley Mills and Haley Mills.
I know, but it's just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. No, they did a fantastic job. And if you want to use the same kind of franchise, you could also say the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap from 1998. But honestly, I enjoyed the 61 film a heck of a lot more. So I would say that twin effect was done long before this movie, and it was done better.
Nice. And you can listen to our review of The Parent Trap, the 1961 version, on the podcast.
I'm on that one.
And you are on that one, yes. Paul, how about you?
Unfortunately, when watching movies where they use the same actor to play twins, a lot of the times it's noticeable. It's very noticeable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this movie is no exception in some of the scenes, and we'll talk about that a little later, I'm sure. But the movie for me that does it the best is a movie that often gets a lot of hate.
Oh,
but I actually enjoyed it.
Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. You think they look so alike?
I cannot tell those two apart.
I knew I was looking in the mirror.
It is.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, but what movie, Paul?
It is 2023's The Flash. And Ezra Miller, despite his personal whatever his issues are going on there, there are some scenes they keep getting better and better with technology. There are some scenes where they're like grabbing and holding like each other's arm and stuff, and they are interacting so well that I completely forget at times that it's the same actor.
Cool.
Ezra Miller does an amazing job, and so do the behind the scenes people to help sell that.
Yeah.
So for me, The Flash, I would recommend if you want to see what the same actor playing the same role effortlessly can be like, that for me is the best example.
Okay, very, very cool.
So yeah, what about you, Francisco? I don't want that dead air there.
I actually think in Back to the Future 2, when you have Marty with his kid essentially, but he's essentially the same age, I think all those interactions work really, really well together.
Oh, I can still see some of the line in that, but okay.
Well, I don't have your AK UHD Blu-ray transfer, Paul.
Anyway, great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
Now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our rad rewinders, had about big business.
All right. We just have a couple here. Wardale White says, other than doing big business at the box office, not much. I have seen these two women in other movies like Ruthless People and 9 to 5, but not this one.
Becky Smith says, the scene where they all discover each other and Rune is in the background having his mind blown always has me in stitches.
All right. I will say
that to me is probably the best scene. I agree.
More than Cowplop?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine. And thank you.
I was about to say, Rue, your buddy Burt Ward, his face contorts in such in a way it morphs he's in such shock that his face contorts. It's funny.
Very fair. And thank you, Bex, for being a supporter of the podcast, being a reflexive pastor, and picking this movie for us to cover.
So if you're a patron of a certain level, you get to choose what movies we review?
Actually, it's just the patron at the base level of $5 a month. Yes.
Oh, get it while it's hot, because that can change in the future, folks.
It could. That's true. But thank you all for sharing those memories. But maybe there's some reasons, even though Bex recommended this, maybe there's some things she doesn't like about it, some things we don't like about it. So let's get into things we didn't like about Big Business.
Worst woos.
All right, let's begin with I'm going to start with me.
The line is, let's have me kick us off.
Oh, you know what? Let's see. We could go with lots of any of us to start, but let's start with Paul for our dislikes this time.
No, it's the line is kick us off. It doesn't matter who you start with. You just gotta.
Oh my gosh! I thought you were like, no, it's important that I start, Francisco. I'm like,
no. Sorry, I conveyed the wrong message. Go ahead.
Wow. All right, let's start with Drake. Why don't you kick us off for a dislike of Big Business, not the Wilhelm scream?
One of the things that was like annoying, I thought, was some of the stereotypes in there.
Oh, the Southern stereotypes?
The Southern stereotypes and the city stereotypes as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like what are what's one that sticks out from either of those? Because they seemed to me they seem sort of natural. So I'm curious what stuck out to you.
They might have been when I first saw it, but like the I mean maybe, but like the sushi bit, like, can you go cook this?
Yeah. Or at the airport, she says, "Hey, we're in America. Speak American."
Gotcha. Okay, I guess. I
mean,
I thought
it can
those
be
were
offensive.
I suppose
there's a lot of like downplaying of like local yokels that don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Though by that same token, there was a reference to Fire Island that one of the assistants makes.
Did you get that a Nam? No, Fire Island.
Yeah. Yep. So I was curious what that might be, and so I was asking Ashley, do you think those two characters were gay? And she,
100%.
Well,
yes.
Okay. But Fire Island is apparently a gay hotspot, so I didn't know that. So I
didn't know that either.
Okay. I knew it because I'm from New York.
New York, yeah. It's an island next to Long Island.
Yep, been to Long Island, but not to Fire Island.
Ah, gotcha. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was an interesting little tidbit and something I didn't know. So I guess I
didn't know that either.
I have my own yokel-isms, but
but no one's looking down on you for it yet.
Paul, let's go to you next. Why are you sad the Wilhelm scream was not in this movie?
I am sad because it should be in every movie, at least once. Sometimes people do it more than once, which can be a little overdoing it. You know, once
is the perfect amount. Yes.
Yeah. But 0, that's uncalled for.
Wow.
So,
what's a real dislike for you, Paul?
Let's get this out of the way. There's a couple blue screen effects that don't hold up. The main one being when Bette Midler is running towards the screen and her twin pulls her hair backwards and she's going back. There's an obvious, at least in my 144K, TV line around it. The tracking is off and the movement doesn't line up.
Okay.
Doesn't really sell it.
Takes it out of the moment.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The other scene that unfortunately stands out is when they do these hotel shots. And it shows the two windows of the twins looking out of each of their room. There's a hard line around the windows of the two windows.
Agreed.
So
I think it's more than that, Paul, at least for me. It's like you wouldn't be able to see the detail of the people in those windows that clearly, given how almost soft focused the rest of the building was. It's almost like the depth was off or something.
But they wanted you to recognize who was in the window.
Course. Yeah. And I get that. I get what they were trying to do, but it was not believable for sure.
More like Industrial Light and Tragic.
I concur.
Okay. Ashley, what's something else you concur about not liking in this film?
I absolutely hated how both sets of twins had the same names and that each character that Bette Midler played were both named Sadie and how both Lily Tomlin characters was Rose. Yes, they can both be Rose and Sadie. What if you flip-flopped them so it makes it more confusing and you have to pay attention to who's who? And maybe instead of the other actors being like, oh, I know your name, maybe just saying, hey, you, so you don't know what you're getting into. Because it was just too convenient. And I'm like, you lazy West Virginians just stealing the first names you hear. But I guess when...
Is that what happened? I thought he just came up with it.
No, he overheard them.
He heard the couple from New York that were down in West Virginia that bought HoloMaid so they could give birth at that hospital. Mm-hmm. That was their name because they were named after his aunts.
Yeah.
And then... the Ratliff father just stole the name, and it's just like, that's just lazy. And the fact that both Bette Midler characters end up being Sadie and both Lily Tomlin end up being Rose, I'm like, at least flip-flop them a little bit, make it more interesting for me.
It was very unbelievable, for sure, that would just line up that way. I mean, it's possible. You got a 50-50 shot.
A fictional comedy, right?
I thought this was a documentary.
I know, but...
Well, that's your problem.
My problem is I had to watch this movie.
God. You know what?
You started Ashley, with the hate, Ashley, and it only gets worse from there, huh?
Don't worry. I got more.
All right.
I can appreciate that, Ashley, and I may go back to it here a little bit later. But I really didn't like the whole I guess they'd be the Sadies, Bette Midler's twins' mom at the start. Man, she was just despicable. I was just into herself. I'm like, ugh, she just bothered me so much.
There are people like that.
There are people like that.
And I don't really care. I like that I don't have to be around them so much because, man, it was just...
A comment for everything, and it's usually like a derogatory comment about where they are and the people that are there. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
How dare us be here?
I'm surprised, like, buying things for her actually calms her down.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't for too long.
Yeah.
But that was one of my dislikes. Let's go back to Paul. What's something else you didn't like?
I didn't like that at the ending, where all the people wind up, each one of the girls winds up with a guy. Yeah. I didn't like the fact, it bothered me, I should say, that the characters played by Lily Tomlin, Rose, switched boyfriends.
Wait, they did? No, they did.
Yeah. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I'll have more come back to me.
Yeah. So I'll say that you have each boyfriend like spending all this time like getting to know one, and then all of a sudden they switch like that, and everyone seems fine with it. So
I didn't realize that. Wow, I got more bothered that it seemed like the Bette Midler, Sadie Ratliff was could potentially be the aunt mom of Seth Green. I thought that was gonna be weird.
I thought that was cool.
Fine.
But because they're identical twins, they share some DNA.
Well, I mean, that's fine. Obviously, it could be his mom because it's her twin sister that's his actual mom. It's very confusing.
So in fact, then they switched as well.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
She got the sloppy seconds of her sister.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, it's so bad.
So that's something I didn't. Wait, was that one of my dislikes?
Was it one of your dislikes?
I think that was just Paul's dislike.
It was Paul's, but it was one of mine as well. It was just too contrived and too convenient.
Oh, okay.
That somehow they have these incredibly limited, especially, yes, with the Rose characters, they have these incredibly limited interactions. And the Rune character, it's the wrong Rose, and he seemingly likes her more than his actual Rose that he was with.
I had no idea.
And it was just like, okay. And then the Michael Gross character barely interacted with the other Rose.
Yep.
So it's like,
Yep.
how in the world are these two like on the road to getting hitched and they've got rings and stuff?
Right,
At least with the Sadie characters, the men that they end up with, they're not like engaged after like 5 minutes. There's a little layer of believability because the Bette Midler, the Sadie Shelton, she is definitely a trite businesswoman. She gets along really well with the Italian
Fabio, I think.
Something, not Fabio. I don't know.
I can swear it's Fabio.
Yeah, what is his name? But she gets along.
Yeah, Fabio.
Okay, Fabio. She gets along really well with him because they're both conniving and they're all about profit and whatnot. So that made sense. And then as far as the Sadie Ratliff ending up with her identical twin's ex-husband, it's just like, it's like
that's out of Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that is something out of Jerry Springer. But yeah, it's just too convenient.
It's been
but it's
5 days since we got to see Teen Loves the Mary.
It's just too convenient. It's too contrived. I don't believe it, especially with the Roses, because they have rings on their fingers and it's like, you've known this person for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you were going to propose to the actual person that you've known for who knows how many years. You're from the same place.
Yeah.
Years versus like minutes, days, hours, whatever the length of time that this movie is set over. I don't believe it. And it's like, what does that say about the relationship that you had with the other Rose? That you liked her face, you liked the aesthetic, but you're like, I want a low maintenance version, and maybe that's what they got when they traded. I don't know.
I don't know. It is very.
I just didn't realize it was the other one because they were identical.
I didn't either. So, like, did the one that ended up with Burt Ward, she had the golf ring on still?
Yeah, and she had the button. You could tell by the way she dressed.
Okay.
Yeah. And one was more take charge. The New York Rose was more soft spoken. She felt like she didn't belong in New York City, and she felt like she could connect with the Fred Ward character Rune, and it's just like something like she had been missing her whole life or something, because she felt like a fish out of water in the city.
Sounds like good writing, huh?
Yeah. Drake, what wasn't so good though for you about this film?
What wasn't so good? I was trying to think of some other thing. It was like not that good in general.
In total, you mean?
Well, it was just so mediocre. You know what I mean? It wasn't like really horrible, and it wasn't like really great. So it was really hard for me to think of things that I like. Oh, I like this, and I don't like that.
Gotcha.
Because it was just kind of meh. You know?
Yeah.
It was just kind of there.
No, I
a
get
lot
that.
of that.
Yeah. I mean, that goes to like what I said, how I had one laugh in the whole thing. So
and that goes to Paul suppressing the memory of having seen this movie.
Right.
And he remembers just walking past the box in whatever video rental store he was at going,
To be fair, I've walked by the box more times than I've seen this movie.
Oh man. Let's take a moment of silence, guys, for video rental stores. Oh my God. Well played,
a relic
Paul.
of a time gone by.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Much like this movie.
Yes. One thing, I guess we'll just have one more thing that I just like before we get to Tragic Makers. And, well, I mean, we sort of talked about this already, but just the personalities of the twins, I didn't really, I felt like they're almost, it's weird. They're almost not different enough and too different. I don't quite know how to phrase it or how to put it. I guess I think I would have preferred if each one of them was just vastly different or exactly the same. As it was, they were like kind of close, and I guess that's kind of right because siblings will have similarities, but I don't know. It was too distracting, I guess, because First off, there's a mix-up. Second, they have the same names. Third, we don't know. They dress alike a lot of the time. So it's
sounds like a great plot to a movie.
Really, Paul? Well, why don't you tell us, since you think this is such a great plot, what was your Tragic Maker?
It wasn't executed as well as I'd hoped. And that is, it goes back to what Drake said, it's mediocre. And there were times where I was distracted by something while watching the movie, and you know what? I wasn't that bugged. I didn't put the movie on pause for that, that long. It's what people have come to know as slow and boring.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that would keep it. That's the part that would keep me from watching it again. It's,
interesting.
It's not as engaging as The Parent Trap. That's
fair.
For example.
Or Back to the Future 1, 2, or 3.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Drake?
I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
Drake, what was your Tragic Maker?
My Tragic Maker. A lot of casual sex jokes.
Were there?
Sure.
I guess I didn't notice. Jeez. I'm desensitized.
Wow, that's like the whole movie.
This is a family-friendly podcast. I don't think we should go over each one.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I'm not going to go over each one. No,
Yes.
But there was a lot of that. Stuff.
Especially between the Sadie, Shelton, and Fabio for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
but throughout the whole movie. But I don't. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm talking to the guy who knows what's going on when someone turns the lights on.
Oh my god!
That's a 300 reference for you guys to listen back on.
Wow. All right. So that was yours, Drake. All the innuendos, totally fair. Ashley, did that bother you as well to make a Tragic Maker, or was there something else you despised about this film?
Well, quite frankly, it didn't capture my attention enough for me to notice all of those things.
Fair.
So the thing that I did notice, and the thing that actually was my Tragic Maker, was just the number of scenes with mistaken identity. It just happened far too frequently for me. And the fact that they didn't all come together until the last 18 minutes of the movie. Usually when you've got like separated twins and this and that, usually it happens by the midpoint, not like the last like eighth of the movie or what.
I was waiting for it to happen. It's like, are they ever going to see each other?
That was my sentiment. I'm like, are they ever going to cross paths? Because like they've kind of done it without realizing it, because they were like wearing similar outfits, and other people were like, oh, it's that. Oh, it's and then they would be like, oh no, I don't know you. And then that poor hotel concierge and
he's just looking for a good time and gets punched in the face.
Exactly. But too many cases of mistaken identity. I feel like other movies do it better. Yes, the movie would be over sooner, but maybe that wouldn't be a detriment, because then you wouldn't have to sit through the remaining like 30 plus minutes or whatever, because it took too long to build up to that point, and then it basically was over, and it tried to force everything at the end, and I couldn't.
And you know what? Probably, I don't know if you felt this way, Ashley, but what exasperated, I feel a lot of what you were feeling, and what exasperated for me, and what could have saved it for me, was that I didn't feel like any of these characters were all that likable. I didn't.
Oh, wow.
There were so many like sort of, I'll say, ugly
language
qualities
that I wasn't allowed to use when I watch cartoons.
Cowplop. Yeah. But there's just, I don't know, each character, there was something other than Rune, I think Rune was likable through and through. Even though he was stereotyped, I enjoyed Fred Ward. See, I can remember things.
Oh, you got it right. Now we need to work on Michael J. Fox's dad.
I didn't really care for Lily Tomlin or Bette Midler or any of the other characters all that much. It's just, so if they were more likable, I think I would have enjoyed the runtime, wherever it was, more so. But that wasn't the case for me.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there, especially like when they all finally do come together and they're trying to save Jupiter Hollow, except for the Sadie Shelton, and they have to shove her in the closet. And it's just like, really? You're going to have 3 versus 1, and then you're just going to put a door, and then somehow everything is just going to be okay because the 3 of you think that you guys can do it, but then there seem to be no repercussions at the end because everyone ends up with somebody and everybody's smiling.
Yeah, and I don't see how all the people are like, oh yeah, okay, you talked me into not voting.
Let's save this town because it's more important than my payday. Said all business people ever.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Well, they did have an identity crisis, so it made sense to me.
I suppose. But now that we've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, you have a firing solution for us.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo armed and ready to fire on your mark.
All right, guys, time for the moment of truth. Do we rate Big Business from 1988? A classic. We'd recommend anyone go see it, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, if you saw it growing up or as a kid, or you saw it at some point in the past, maybe 1988. And then, definitely check it out again. You'll have a good time revisiting it. But if you've never seen it before, just don't take your time, just watch it. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. Let's start with Ashley. What is your final rating for Big Business?
Well, I predicted tragic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did.
Watched the movie, tried to not let my first impressions kind of solidify my rating. But, in watching it, I realized I had no business watching this movie, so I give it tragic. I rate it tragic.
Tragic.
It is tragic. Okay. No one has any business watching this movie.
All right.
They are going out. Sadly, we would say they would be going out of business. Yes.
I appreciate your business puns.
There you go.
All right. Drake, you had predicted, thank you for the reminder there, Ashley. You had predicted nostalgic. What was your final rating for this film?
I ended up sticking with nostalgic.
Okay. Stick with nostalgic. Very good. Any particular reason? It was just fun to watch
partially there was a lot of nostalgia with seeing the old 80s stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd seen this a long time ago. I don't think it was right when it came out, but it was on, at the video store. We rented it. My mom was a big fan of Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler. Mm-hmm. So we watched it, and I remember having fun with it, but I remember thinking about it, and I was semi like, do I really want to volunteer to watch this? I'm like, well, I've seen it before, guys. I didn't hate it back then or anything. It was, and so it wasn't as terrible as I feared it might have been.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So, again, it was just very meh, like
average.
Like it wasn't, like average or below average, like a 5 or 6, on a movie scale, on a 1 to 10 scale.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, nostalgic.
Gotcha.
If you don't really need to see it if you haven't, but if you liked it before, it might be worth a watch.
All right. Paul, you had predicted tragic, even though you had seen it before, though you didn't remember it. Where did your rain end up though? After watching.
What about our rad rewinders?
Our rad rewinders, thanks for pointing that out. We did not get any votes from our rad rewinders. We had some comments. Drake had said, I can't vote on this one. Yeah, you can't, Drake, because you're here.
Because I'm here, right?
Your vote is here.
I can't do it either.
Yeah, you can't do it either?
See, it wasn't worth anyone's time. See?
Ken said,
what does that tell you?
A movie I don't remember seeing must be tragic, but then I haven't watched it then or now, so I have no comment.
All right. So no input from our
input from our reflux capacitors.
It was not worth their time.
Right. So Paul, I go to you again.
So for the people that did enjoy it, like Bex, who recommended this, and my wife watched this with her mother growing up, and they remembered liking it back in the day. I get it. I laughed throughout it. I thought it had humor, unlike Francisco. I appreciated the humor throughout it. But unfortunately, there are better movies out there that this may be nostalgic to some people, but I think for me this fits in the category of don't sully your memories with a rewatch because if you want to watch a movie about twins, hey, delightful as this movie may be to you, there's The Parent Trap, which is more. Or it doesn't even have to be about twins. Go watch, I don't know, The Princess Bride. There's other movies that are better that you could be utilizing
actually
your time
watched
with.
The Fall Guy recently.
Yeah.
Go watch
I would say,
that.
if you want to go watch a movie about twins, go watch Twins. They might not be identical, but that movie is fun.
I was thinking Twins,
Yeah.
So unfortunately for me, for all you people that really like this movie, that it probably fits in the nostalgic area for you. Even if you think it's a classic, for me, I'm gonna not recommend you watching it again. That's just mine.
So tragic from you then.
Tragic.
Okay.
What a tragedy.
I appreciate Paul's tenderness and care for all the people that do
the Band-Aid off,
enjoy this movie. And I actually can't believe you guys dislike this movie so much. I mean, there's so much going for this movie. Oh wait, I'm thinking of another movie. Yeah, I rate this tragic. I am so sorry to everyone that does like this movie. I think, and that's fine if you're someone who likes this movie, but it was not a movie I cared for. So with 3 tragics and a nostalgic, we rate Big Business from 1988 a disputed tragic film. We'd recommend no one go see it, whether or not you've seen it before. We still appreciate you, Bex, for recommending it for us to watch. Yeah. And I'm glad to know that this exists. I that's one thing that I love doing about this podcast is I'm exposed to these movies that I've never seen before and probably wouldn't watch otherwise. So thank you for that. But yeah, tragic for us. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX.
Calm sat online, awaiting incoming transmissions.
This is a different bumper. Or no.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1988 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, Ash Ruiz. Oh, you're right here. Kennethan, Fabulous Lomax, That's Our Babo, D Tungsten. Oh, you're here too. Woo-hoo! Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Dustin, Flux, Redeemed Otaku, and in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
Say, Francisco, are there any non-fuzzy... Sorry. Hey, Francisco, are there any ways to support the stream that doesn't require a little ding from your bank account?
So in case you're not making any big business right now, or you're...
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Paul. You probably enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. So if you aren't driving, tap the share icon in your podcast player for this episode and send it to a friend saying, I know you hate the movie Big Business. These people agree with you. or I know you like the movie Big Business, and this is a fun discussion of it.
Yeah, and I'll bet they'll thank you for it.
I bet they will too.
And speaking of thanking people, we want to give a big sisterly hug to Ashley Ruiz and even Drake Tungsten for supporting us with their thoughts about Big Business. Mm-hmm. And since I like to go in alphabetical order, we'll start with Ashley. We usually take this time to ask people how we can find you online and what's going on. So how can we stalk you? I mean, how can we find you and what's going on?
Well, not much going on, but you can always find me on the platform formerly known as Twitter at Ashley Ruiz 1186. Sometimes I post on Instagram under that same handle, but I don't know. Ever since my social media break, I haven't been as active, and you know what? It's been kind of freeing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Drake Tungsten.
Thank you, Ashley, for being on the show.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for being on the show. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you like that. I was just so captivated by Drake over here. So let's see. Drake, hey, how can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on they should know about?
Yeah, I'm working for Fandom Pulse, which is a pop culture news site. I do a lot of some of the behind the scenes, like editing and stuff like that. I don't write that many articles on it, but it's a good site if you want to check out pop culture stuff. Cool. And I haven't been doing that much else lately, I guess, online. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Very cool. And thank you, Drake, for being on.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Good to be here.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I thanked you guys already, but I'll thank you again. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Drake. We also want to thank Alutrick for enhancing our music. Find him at alutrick.bandcamp.com or youtube.com/@Alutrick. That's spelled ALLOOUTRICK, then the number 8266 for the YouTube. So thank you so much to him. Thank you to my big friend, Paul, and all you rewinders, new and old, for another fun voyage. Is that a fat joke? It's a tall joke, Paul.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
What? You didn't sell it well enough, Francisco. That might put you out of business.
Oh, my God. How dare you go over my joke with a better joke?
Oh, no.
Well, you're welcome. And you can find me, PaulJPowers.com, doing big business at PaulJPowers.com.
Awesome. And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at RetroRewindPodcast.com/Discord. And if you want to find out about the board game I'm currently designing, go to JunkyardJuggernauts.com.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
As the CEO who's trying to sell us and turn us into a strip mine just said, we are now part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the big business of shows unpacking truth through story and comedy and geekery at culturebox.media.
Indeed. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Fern Gully, the Last Rainforest, our next adventure on the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to base to await next mission.
Put this in post.
That's always the answer. That makes it better.